Today I have a whole bunch of microgreens to grow. I want to fill up this microgreens palace, so let's get started. I've got a whole bin here full of different stuff. I want to plant all of it if I have enough clean trays, we'll see. And I want to show you the soil I'm going to be using today is Kellogg. You can buy this at Home Depot. It's OMRI listed. It is organic. It's very, very dense. It's a really dark, heavy soil. And so that's what we're going to be going with today. I think if I use this regularly, I will probably mix in a whole bunch of perlite just to like really lighten it up a little bit. But we're going to use it just straight up today. It's really heavy right now because I actually left that bag in the back of my truck and it got rained on, and so that's soaked. And yeah, we're going to go with it though. We got some other stuff to try out. I was sent some veg bed mats to grow on. I think there's 2 of them in here. I was asked to try them out, see what I thought. So I thought I'd share that with you. I am going to do radish on both of them. I'm going to do 2 trays of radish. One I'm going to use nutrients, one I'm not. I'm almost positive that I will need the nutrients, but you never know. It's worth checking it out just to see. I'm going to just place a little bit of tape on the tray that has nutrients on it, just so I can remember which one is which, so I don't put nutrients in the wrong one. So these are made out of bamboo. They're entirely bamboo. They're supposed to work pretty nice, so we'll try them out, see what we think. I always give an honest review though, so if I don't like your product, there's a little bit of a risk there that I'm not going to tell people it's great if I'm not really that happy with it. So let's go with this tray here on the right, and I've got some general hydroponics nutrients. The directions said just to mist it with water, but that takes a really long time to get enough water, so I'm actually gonna just drench it a little. Just kind of work it around. And this one will be just water. I'm going to do China rose radish on both of them. I like radish as a test crop because it grows so easy. You can always determine whether or not things are working out with radish and not be wondering whether or not you just failed at growing that day. One thing I'm noticing right away is that the seeds cling to this stuff. It's not like they're not bouncing and they're not just falling in the grooves like they do on the wood fiber mats. So I'm actually pretty happy already with how it's holding the seeds. I didn't really expect that to be a benefit. Just gonna do 3 tablespoons of radish per tray. My biggest concern with these is that I'm worried they're going to dry out really fast, and that's always the case with like a really thin grow medium like this. But we'll check it out and see what happens. So I'm going to stack these right up, and then I'm going to put other trays on top of this. But for now, I'm just going to put them in the palace here just to get them out of the way. So now I've got a tray without holes and a tray with holes. And I'm going to grow something that I can put just on top of that radish and be the final tray. So I will probably go with, for that I'll use the spicy salad mix. Spicy salad mix can be stacked, but it doesn't have to be stacked. So I sometimes use that as my cap tray. I don't use empty trays and then weight down that way. I just use a tray that doesn't need to be stacked, and that's my top tray. Yes, years later, I am still using my trusty Frosted Flakes bowl. I'm going to do 3 scoops. If you don't have a Frosted Flakes bowl, like I've told you before, I'm sorry that you won't be able to grow microgreens properly, but you can always try using whatever you've got kicking around. I really should just get a bigger container that does 1 scoop, but for some reason, grown kind of attached to that bowl. All right, get that all kind of just leveled out. Like I said, the soil's really wet, so I'm not gonna have to water it that heavily. I normally would really soak the soil. That should be plenty. I'm going to do just 1 tablespoon of the spicy salad mix. I change up how much I grow of this all the time, and depending on how big I want it to get will actually determine how much density I want to grow. And I actually want this to grow probably a little bit longer than normal, and so I'm going to go really light on my density. That will allow for the plants or the microgreens to actually grow and not get too crowded. Take an upside down tray and that'll just be blacked out. I'm gonna go put this right on top of the radish. Now I want to grow some stuff I don't grow all that often. One of those is going to be dill. So I've got some dill here. Another one will be fennel. Here I've got some bronze fennel seed. And we'll do some basil. Basil I do more regular. Dill and fennel I don't grow that often. Just going to spread this dill out here. Now dill takes a really long time to grow. It can be a month before it's ready to harvest. I like having a whole bunch of stuff like this just ready to just grow into my greenhouse. I just keep up with it, and I've got the space, so why not have some cool stuff like this. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of the dill. I like the way the dill seed smells. It smells like dill. It's really a strong smelling seed. Now for the fennel. I only have a tiny little package. I bought some as a trial run, and I only did 1 tray. I don't think I ever did it again. It's very similar to the dill. It's a smaller seed. Just going to do 1 tablespoon of the dill, or the fennel. I'll go a little bit more, maybe 1 1/4. Now for the basil. Do 1 tablespoon of basil. This is Italian large leaf basil. Try to keep this as even as I can. Basil seed gets a gelatinous coat on it once it gets wet, which will cause it to stick together. And if that happens, then as they grow, they'll kind of pick up other seeds with it. And that's not what you want to happen. So try to keep it even. Now for the fennel and the dill, they will both get clear domes, humidity domes, and they'll just sit in the greenhouse with those. These will probably end up getting used as top trays to some other stuff we're going to plant. But for now, we're just going to put them in there. The basil will get a blackout dome because I want the basil to grow some decent height on it before it gets under light. If it's under light immediately, it just stays short, and so it makes it really hard to harvest. Next, I have something else a little interesting. We're going to use this rockwool. And it was actually one of you viewers that wanted to know how beets would do on rockwool. I don't expect it to do that well. I like to cover my beets with a little bit of soil to help shed the seed hull. But we're going to give it a shot anyways and just see what happens. So far I've been very happy with the rockwool. It's been working out really well. Now the beets are bull's blood beets. I'm just going to spread them by hand and try to get a pretty even coat. I'm going to give these a nice mist just to make sure that the seeds got nice and wet. At this stage, it really won't affect the nutrient solution at all. You don't really even need it for the first planting, but I like to use it anyways. Just a blackout dome for the beets. In the palace they go. See what happens with them. Now let's do a tray of cilantro. Now normally with cilantro, I would like to cover it with a fine soil, just a thin layer, like an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch of soil to help shed the seed hull. But with this soil, it's kind of a heavy soil, and I don't think it's a good idea to try to cover it with that. So I'm just going to plant uncovered, so we'll just go right on top of the soil. Again, this is a seed that I don't normally measure. I only measure it if someone wants to know how much I'm growing. Otherwise, I just kind of spread it out by eye, get a nice even coat. That should be pretty good. Just gonna water it in. Just gonna press those seeds right on the soil. Make sure they have really good contact. See how I'm not covering them. These will just get covered up with a upside down tray as a blackout dome. I don't like to stack them. So now I've got these peas. These are green pea. They've been soaking in these containers for a couple hours. They could probably soak a little bit longer, but they'll be fine. I used my my Gen Pack 16-ounce containers for the peas sometimes when I soak them like this, because it actually measures out about the perfect amount. I think it's right around 400 grams. It's pretty close to a pound of peas that I plant per tray. Let me go ahead and drain that water off. So if I'm trying to soak just enough for individual trays, these work out pretty good for that. So these grow much slower than a regular pea shoot. These take 14 days pretty much minimum before they're ready to harvest. And you'll get less yield off these than you would pea shoots as well. But they're a really fancy, beautiful microgreen with their nice long curly tendrils. That's why I like them. This is another one that I normally would cover with a little bit of soil, but I'm not going to do that today. And peas, you really don't need to. You can do either or. I do find you get a little bit better germination if you do cover with soil. So I'm just going to stack these up right here for now. Now I'm going to do some rainbow chard. So I've got a tray with holes and a tray without holes. Now, just for the fun of it and for the interest, I'm going to try something a little bit different with the chard than I've done in the past. I've tried covering it with a little bit of soil. I've tried covering it with quite a bit of soil. I've tried not covering it with soil. I found a little bit of soil was the best, but I have never tried covering it with a lot of soil. So that's what we're going to do right here. I've got about a ½ inch of soil in the bottom of this tray, and then I'm going to fill it about another inch on top of the seed and see what happens there. Chard's really tricky. It's like beets, but almost a little bit more difficult than beets, really. So I'm just going to start dumping a whole bunch of soil right on top. That's probably enough soil. Just going to water that in. I'm going to stack that right on top of the peas. Just going to put a blackout dome over the top of it. In the palace it goes. So this will be the final tray. I'm running out of clean trays to plant with today. But this will be one of my staples. This will be amaranth. I use just shy of a tablespoon of amaranth. One of the big tricks to this is get it really even. Just like the basil, you want to have a nice even spread of the amaranth. You don't want any piles or clumps. That will lead to dampen off issues. Just gonna cover that up with a blackout tray. Try not to ruin my planting. And in the palace it goes. So that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you really enjoyed watching that. That was, I believe, 9 different kinds of microgreens I just grew in that video. I will be doing weekly updates to show you the progress. Some of those are going to take, like I said, a month or more. Others will be done in a week. Check the description for links to products if you're interested in anything I use, especially the seeds. Also, you can become a Patreon if that's something that you're interested in doing. Links in the description. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Check back soon.